so let's get started. This is the Post Aliyah guide. I hope you've all seen it at some point, either a PDF copy or an actual physical copy. If you have not, please email us so that we can send it to you, but you should all have gotten a copy of this Post Aliyah guide. The first page of the Post Aliyah guide is a glossary of terms. There are going to be Hebrew terms that I will use throughout this presentation. Again, if you don't understand something I say, please stop me and ask me to explain it. But if you're going over it in the future, this is your guide to your glossary of terms to look at, and if there's any Hebrew terms that you don't understand. And let's get started with the actual steps. Okay, so when you got, everyone here, I believe, made Aliyah from outside of Israel. You all got on a plane and flew to Israel and made Aliyah at that point. At the airport, there are certain things that you should have gotten. And again, I'm going to start with Olim Chadashim. Okay, I'm going to start with Olim Chadashim, and then we'll move on to everyone else. So an Oleh Chadash who made Aliyah at the airport should have gotten several different things at the airport. The first is the Tudat Oleh. The Tudat Oleh is a booklet showing that you are an Oleh who has Aliyah benefits. It's very important that you keep this booklet. The last benefit that you have runs out in 15 years from your date of Aliyah. That's the mortgage benefit. So it's important to hold on to the Tudat Oleh. It is not easy to replace the Tudat Oleh. So try to make sure that if there's any one thing that you are keeping and keeping track of, it's the Tudat Oleh, because it's the most difficult thing to replace. Okay. For anyone who had a status other than Oleh Chadash, or has a status that has not yet been resolved, you're going to get your Oleh booklet at your local branch of Mishrad HaKlita. You must make an appointment with your local branch of Mishrad HaKlita. That's going to be step 3 when we discuss it, and I will discuss it when it comes to step 3. But if you did not get a Tudat Oleh at the airport, you're going to get it at Mishrad HaKlita, or they will figure out if you're eligible for it at Mishrad HaKlita. For those of you who have a status other than Oleh Chadash, if you were an Ezrach Oleh, then you should have gotten a Tudat Oleh, a Tudat Zakaut at the airport, not a Tudat Oleh, because technically you were Israeli before, so your status didn't change. If you're a Katin Choser, you probably did not get anything at the airport. You'll get a Tudat Zakaut at Mishrad HaKlita. If you were a former A1 or a split Aliyah, any other status, you probably also did not get anything at the airport, and you're going to get your Tudat Oleh at your meeting with Mishrad HaKlita. And again, as I said in step 3, we will discuss making that appointment and what happens at that appointment. The next thing you would have done at the airport is healthcare registration. Again, this is only for Olim Chadashim, possibly Ezrachim Olim as well. No other status, or no one else whose status is not really determined yet, will be able to register for health insurance at the airport. If you did register for health insurance at the airport, you would have gotten a piece of paper showing that you are registered for whichever Kupat Cholim you are registered for. Step 4, we're going to be discussing Kupat Cholim, and I will discuss this more in depth, particularly what to do if you are someone who did not sign up at the airport. But it is important that if you did sign up and that you have that piece of paper and you keep it with you. Again, Olim Chadashim should have gotten the first cash payment of Sal Klita at the airport. If you did not get that, again, at Mishrad HaKlita, that will be taken care of and fixed. You should have gotten a statement of bank account. You're going to need that for the bank account, which is going to be step 2, or step 1 or 2. We'll discuss that in a couple of minutes. Step 2, and we'll discuss what that is, but you should have gotten a piece of paper that you're going to need to bring at the bank. Everyone but a Katin Choser should have also gotten a SIM card at the airport. The SIM card gives you 5,000 minutes, 6 gig of internet package, and expires after 3 months. There is a phone number here, there's a phone number here for Hot Mobile, who is running this program, who the SIM cards are all through. And so if you want to either extend this package and sign up with Hot Mobile, or even switch the number over to a different carrier, you need to call that number to speak to someone at customer service. That number is specifically for Olim So you should be able to also get an English speaker at that number. Okay, so that's at the airport. Again, for anyone who has a status other than Oleh Hadash, we're going to be discussing certain things at the appropriate times. But just be aware that if you had any other status than Oleh Hadash, what I just said may have been different, and we will explain what to do. Okay. I want to point out a couple of other things on this page. There are links for setting up your home in Israel. That link goes to a page on our website with some information about setting up your home and your life. There's also a link to municipal Aliyah coordinators. Many municipalities around the country will have their own Oleh coordinators. And anything dealing with the municipality, that's your first call to your municipal Aliyah coordinator. For example, if you're dealing with something with Arnona or schools, those would both go through your municipal Aliyah coordinator. Okay? There are other things they can do. There are many other things they can do, and they're wonderful. And if you have a municipal coordinator in your municipality, you should definitely reach out to them. Okay. Next. We're going to start with step one. Step one is your biometric Tudat Zahut. Just quick show of hands, and there's a hand button. There's a hand raising button. Did anyone here already receive their temporary Tudat Zahut, either at the airport or somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Great. All right. So I see a couple of hands went up. If I could ask everyone to please mute themselves again. If you received your temporary Tudat Zahut, then this step is still necessary, but it is not urgent. The reason why is you do still have to apply for your biometric Tudat Zahut. However, the temporary Tudat Zahut you got should be valid for about 9 months. So you do have time in which to apply for your biometric Tudat Zahut. If you do not get a temporary Tudat Zahut yet, then this becomes a kind of an urgent matter. That's why it's step number one. In order to do this, you have to make an appointment with Mishrad HaPnim. You have to go through the My Visit website and try to make the appointment. Now, as I'm sure some of you have already tried to do this, will have noticed, some places you're not going to be able to get an appointment. You're going to you're going to log on to My Visit, and you're not going to have any appointments till February or March. Obviously, if you already have your temporary Tudat Zahut, this is not a big deal. However, if you do not, then this is a big deal. So you have two options. The first thing I would tell you to do is try to go to different branches. For example, today someone came in and I tried to help them make an appointment, and we wanted to try the main branch in Yerushalayim, and the next appointment was in February. But we decided to not do that, and we went to the Har Choma branch in Yerushalayim, and we were able to get him an appointment for right after Sukkot. So again, try different branches. If you're trying different branches, or if you are not physically capable of making it to another branch, which is certainly a possibility, please give us a call so that we can try to help you make a sooner appointment. We do have relationships with people. We are constantly scouring the My Visit website to see where there are appointments. So if you're really having trouble, please call us and we will try to help you make the appointment. All right. At this appointment, you'll see that it tells you here what you need to bring with you. You need to bring basically all of your original documents, everything that you gathered in the process of making Aliyah, including birth certificate, marriage certificate, apostilles, proof of Judaism. Bring all of that with you. If you have anything that you're not sure whether to bring with you or not, bring it with you. Okay? All right. Someone just asked me if I got a Tudat Zahut at the Israeli consulate, is it a permanent Tudat Zahut? The way to know if what you have is a temporary Tudat Zahut or a permanent Tudat Zahut, well, there's two different ways. The first way is to look for an expiration date. See when the expiration date, that will tell you if it's a temporary Tudat Zahut and how temporary it is. The second thing to do is your Tudat Zahut a laminated card, or is it or does it look like a credit card? If it looks like a credit card, it is your permanent biometric Tudat Zahut. If it looks like anything else, it is not, and therefore you will need to apply for it. Okay? All right. So we're talking about what you need to bring with you, all your documents. Again, if you're not sure whether to bring something with you or not, bring it. Your passport, you need 2 passport pictures for each family member receiving a Teudat Zehut. That is only if you do not yet have the temporary one, because you're going to ask them at this appointment for the temporary Teudat Zehut. Do not assume that they are just going to give you the temporary Teudat Zehut. Make sure you ask for it. I can't tell you how many people go in, apply, do not get the temporary Teudat Zehut, didn't think to ask for it, and then they need to make another appointment to go apply for the temporary Teudat Zehut, which you do not want to have to do. So again, if you are getting the temporary Teudat Zehut, please make sure that you are asking for the temporary Teudat Zehut. Just double checking if they are still requiring an apostille in the F5 background check now that it's after October 1st. If you have the apostille, bring it. If you don't have the apostille and they let you make Aliyah anyway, come without the apostille. Be aware, Misrad HaPnim has the right to ask for anything. Are they going to ask for it? Maybe yes, maybe no, but they can ask for anything. So if you have it, bring it. Okay. All right, next. Also bring all your paperwork that you received at Ben Gurion Airport, and there is no fee for your first biometric Teudat Zehut. Bring copies of all your documents as well. They may take copies of themselves, but there are many different Misrad HaPnim offices that just refuse to make copies and will insist that you give them copies. So bring copies of everything as well. Okay. Is the Teudat Zehut on the Teudat Oleh permanent, or do we need that for the biometric Teudat Zehut? Great question. On your Teudat Oleh, there is a Mispar Zehut. The difference between a Mispar Zehut and a Teudat Zehut is one is just a number, the other is the document. The fact that you have a Teudat Oleh that has your Mispar Zehut on it is fine, and that Mispar Zehut should not change, but you do not have a Teudat Zehut if all you have is a Teudat Oleh. Okay? At all, neither a temporary nor a permanent. The number should remain the same, but unless you have a separate document from the Teudat Oleh, you do not have a Teudat Zehut. All right, I want to mention 2 things that are not on this list that are possibly important. One more thing, sorry. The other thing I was going to mention was about the temporary Teudat Zehut. I mentioned that already, but I want to mention something that is not on this list that has recently come up that I want you all to be aware of. We have seen in certain cases that people are not having their religion. They're registered with Misrad HaPnim at the airport, even if they received it. If you got a document at the airport that is called a Dat V'Le'um, and I'm going to show you, I hope you can all see that. I put it up on my screen. This is what that form looks like. Make sure you bring that with you to your appointment as well, and ask them to make sure that you are registered in the system as Jewish. Okay? So if you have this form with you, if you got this form at the airport, they don't always give it to you. Most of the time they keep it, but if you have this form, make sure that when you go to Misrad HaPnim, you show it to them and ask them to make sure you are registered as Jewish. Okay?
Shlomo, we can't see the document, just the...
You can't see the document. Okay, so I'm going to try to
just the guide.
Give me a moment. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the document that I mentioned. It's called the Dat V'Le'um form, or V'Le'um, whatever you want to call it. But that's what this is what it looks like. If you have this form, like I said, bring it with you to Misrad HaPnim. I want to mention one other thing about the Misrad HaPnim, and that is that if you have children above the age of 18 who have already made Aliyah, or if you are someone over the age of 18 whose parents made Aliyah before you, it is really a good idea that you bring your children or your parents with you to this appointment to make sure that they are joined to your file. And children over 18 who are already here wouldn't necessarily be added to your Teudat Zehut, but it is kind of important that they are for certain things. So if you are going to that appointment and you are in that situation, try to have your children come with you with their Tudot Zahut so that they can be joined to your family and make sure that everyone knows they're the same family. Okay. All right, I want to go back to the share screen. All right, Ariella, are we back on the guide?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, that was step one. I know there was a lot of information just to get to step one, but that is step one, and that is what I consider to be the most important step for people who have not gotten temporary Tudot Zahut. Now, again, if you've already gotten the temporary Tudot Zahut, you still need to do this, but the urgency is off because you need to do it before your Tudot Zahut expires, which is 9 months from now. So you have a couple months to do this. All right, next. Oops, sorry. All right, bank account. Step two is opening a bank account. If you already have a bank account from before you made Aliyah, you still need to go to your bank and make sure that they have your new Tudot Zahut and that bank is linked to your Tudot Zahut. You will need to do this before you go to Mishrad HaKlita, which is step three, even if you already have an account. If you don't have an account, you're going to need to open an account. Be aware that a lot of banks will require you to make an appointment to open a bank account. And US citizens are required to provide their Social Security number and complete a W-9 form when they open an account. This means that you may have difficulty finding a bank that is willing to open an account for you, and you may need to shop around. If you're really having difficulty finding a bank, you can give us a call and we can try to help you. There are a couple of banks that we've developed relationships with. I think it's Mizrahi Tvachot and Bank Discount. So if you're really having a problem finding a bank, we can try to help you. But basically, I would tell you to try to find the banks most convenient for you and try to open an account there. And if they want to let you, go to the bank down the block. Okay, so what do you need to do when you open the account? You need to bring your Tudot Oleh. If you have it, your Tudot Zahut, your passport from your country of origin, some amount of money with which to open the account, and the note of future bank account that you got at the airport. If you have a Tudot Oleh, but not a Tudot Zahut, technically you can still open the account. The law says that you can, but most banks require a Tudot Zahut with an issue date in order to open an account. So you can try, but just be aware it may not work. Ariella, you want to add something there?
No, sorry.
That's going to be yourself. Okay. All right. So just be aware of that. Okay. What are you going to get? You're going to get your bank account information. You're going to get instructions for online banking. They'll stamp the note of future bank account. You're also going to get a deposit receipt. All right. These are very important things. You're going to need the deposit receipt and the note of future bank account in order to, you're going to need that at Mishrad HaKlita, which is the next step, which we'll get to when we get there. If they do not give you a deposit receipt because they are a bank that doesn't allow you to deposit cash, sometimes happens, ask them for an opening statement. And that should be good in lieu of a deposit receipt. Someone wrote, I have an account at Lumi as a foreign resident. Can that be changed to a new one, the new one I need? Yes, it should be able to. Yes, absolutely. Okay. All right, next. A couple of things I want to add about bank account. First of all, if you are married, you must have a joint bank account. You do not have the option to have a single bank account if you are married to an Israeli citizen. That means that if you don't have a joint bank account, you will not be able to get benefits paid into that account. All right, so it's an important thing to know. When you have a joint bank account, it's also important to sign something called a Tofes Arichat Yamim. What this is this is a form that allows, if something, God forbid, happens to one member of the couple, then the other couple will still have access to the bank account while everything is going through the courts. So it's really important to protect yourself to make sure that you don't lose access to your bank account. God forbid something happens. All right. All right. There's a couple of other notes here about banking in Israel. some good tips for people. I'll let you read that on your own. Those are the things that I wanted to mention beforehand. Okay, next up is Mishad HaKlita. Now, as I mentioned before, Mishad HaKlita is where all your benefits come from. Your benefits don't just fall out of the sky. You have to actually apply for them. So you need to make yourself an appointment with Mishad HaKlita. On page 11 of this guide, we have a directory of all the branches. You must go to the branch that is local to the address on your Teudat Zehut. That means it doesn't really matter where you're living. It matters what address you have on your Teudat Zehut. You'll call to try to make the appointment. The phone numbers are on page 11. On our website, we also have a directory of Mishad HaKlita. We have a link to the Mishad HaKlita website where you can find emails for the specific branches as well. If you can't make a phone call, if you can't reach anyone by phone, I see Ariella put up the link here. Find an email and email them as well. There are certain branches where it's going to be really easy to make an appointment. And then there are going to be some branches like Yerushalayim and especially Tel Aviv, where the wait for appointments is sometimes measured in weeks, if not months. So if you are trying to make an appointment and you can't get through to anyone, please call us right away. Now, in this case, I want to make sure that everyone understands right away in this context means next Wednesday. All right. There's no one answering Mishad HaKlita until next Wednesday. That means a week from this coming Wednesday. So just be aware that you will not be able to reach anyone if you call now. So try doing that. Okay. And that's where all your benefits come from. So what are you going to get here? As you can see here, what it says is that you're going to get, first of all, they're going to take your bank account information and start putting money into your bank account. You need to bring your Teudat Oleh, your Teudat Zehut, the form stamped by your bank, the receipt of bank deposit or bank statement. And if you're a Katin Choser or an Ezrach Oleh, you also have to bring your Israeli passport. I'm going to get to where it says you should make an appointment even if you haven't gotten your Teudat Zehut in a moment when I talk about Katinim Chozrim. And again, I just want to make sure, are there any Katinim Chozrim on the webinar today? Please raise your hand, send something in the chat box, put up a bat signal, something to let me know if there are any Katinim Chozrim. Because if there aren't, I'm just not going to talk about it. Okay. I don't see anyone has put up their hands or anything else, so I'm going to assume that there are no Katinim Chozrim, and I'm not going to talk about it. All right. What are you going to get at Mishad HaKlita? First of all, they're going to take your bank account information, and they're going to start putting money into your bank account, and they will tell you when you should be receiving that money. They will talk to you about your local Ulpan and how to sign up for an Ulpan. They'll talk to you about any Oleh resources in your neighborhood. If you are applying for tuition assistance, you can apply there as well. And anyone who did not get a Teudat Oleh or a Teudat Zakaut at the airport is also going to get it at the local Mishad HaKlita. So again, someone had asked me before about split Aliyah, or that they weren't able to get everything verified at the airport. That's because the Mishad HaKlita at the airport only deals with a very limited type of situation, a plain vanilla Oleh Chadash or Ezrach Oleh. Anyone else who has a different status or a different situation, they're not going to deal with it at the airport. They're going to deal with it at this local meeting of Mishad HaKlita. That's where everything's going to be figured out. You'll be either added to the Teudat Oleh of your spouse, or you'll get a new Teudat Oleh and the spouse will be added. Whatever needs to happen happens at this meeting. That's where they're going to figure all this out. Again, also if there's a Mishpachat Olim or anything else, Sal Klita will also be figured out at this meeting. So anything dealing with benefits or the Teudat Oleh that was not figured out at the airport will be figured out at this appointment. That's why this appointment is so important. If you are a Katin Choser who did not sign up for healthcare at the airport, or an A1 who didn't sign up for healthcare at the airport, I would make this appointment before even you have a Teudat Zehut, because one of the things they're going to do at this appointment of Mishad HaKlita is help you apply for the health insurance for Bituach Leumi. So it's important that you have this appointment as soon as possible. All right. Okay, let's continue. I want to point out that in the little blue box, it says setting up a gov.il account. Gov.il is the website for all government functions in Israel. And it's important that you set up your own account in order for you to be able to see what's going on. How have you gotten payments? Are you supposed to get payments? There's a lot of things that you can do on the gov.il account, so it's a good idea to create one. You will need a two dot oleh and a two dot zahut, or a passport or a credit card. They require two different kinds of verification. We have an article that Ariella just linked to about how to set up the gov.il account. I would really encourage that each one of you, as soon as you have the documents necessary to do it, you should do it. Okay, next. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stop here. Are there any questions on anything I've discussed until now? You can unmute yourself and ask me if you want. You can put it up in the chat box. Any questions on anything I've talked to you about up until this point? Okay, great. So we're going to move ahead. Wonderful. So if I've given this well enough, there shouldn't be questions. All right. Next step is Kupat Cholim. Kupat Cholim is the health insurance. The vast majority of you signed up already at the airport. You will have gotten that sheet of paper from the airport showing that you are signed up. The next step to complete your registration is to go to the local branch of your Kupat Cholim and get a card. Usually it takes about 5 to 7 business days from your arrival until the Kupat Cholim will see you in the system. I really would encourage you that if you can try on Sunday, see what hours your local branch has and see if you can get the card. It's worthwhile. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to get the card until after Chag. All right? What does that mean for you if you don't have a card? Does it mean that you don't have healthcare? No. It just means that no one's really providing the healthcare. So you're going to have a hard time making an appointment with a doctor. However, if you need medical care, you can go to a terem or an emergency room with the form from the airport, and you can get seen using that form. But you won't be able to make a proactive appointment with a doctor until you're in the Kupat Cholim system and you've gotten your card. When you go to get your card, you can also sign up for supplemental insurance. You don't have to, it costs extra money. But if you do it within 90 days of your Aliyah, then there's no waiting period for the additional coverages that you can get from the supplemental coverages. If you want to know exactly what you get from the supplemental coverage, you can find that information on the Kupat Cholim website, or you can speak to the Kupat directly. It's a product, a private product that they are selling you. They are the ones who are best set up to help you figure out if you actually want it. All right, if you did not get that form at the airport because you're A1, because you're Katin Choser, whatever the reason you didn't get that form from the airport, again, that's why you need to go through Mishrad HaKlita to get that. All right, there's something about your Aliyah that needs to be done. If you're a former A1, you can try going on the Bituach Leumi webpage and filling out a 628 form or a 625. But because I can't tell you which one of those forms you need to fill out, that's something that you're going to be doing with Mishrad HaKlita. So we only really need to worry about doing that if it's really taking you a long time making an appointment with Mishrad HaKlita. So again, if after the Chag you cannot make an appointment or you're having trouble making an appointment and you do not yet have healthcare, then you need to call us right away after Chag so we can help you figure that out. If you can't make an appointment and you already do have healthcare, it becomes a little less important, but still, don't wait. Call and ask us for your help, for our help, sorry. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about Kupat Cholim. This is a really important subject, so we're dealing with healthcare. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask me about healthcare, Kupat Cholim, Bituach Leumi, any of that good stuff?
Sorry, Shlomo, did you mention supplemental healthcare?
I did.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Just in case I sped by it, if you register for supplemental healthcare within 90 days of your Aliyah, there is no waiting period for the additional coverage. You still have to pay for it. So you have to make your own choice. Do we have to make an appointment to get the card? No, you should not have to make an appointment to get the card. What you do have to do is you have to make sure that you're going to your Kupat Cholim at a time when the secretaries are actually working. Okay? That's the important part. And that you should be able to find on your local branch's website or on the website of the Kupat Cholim. Okay? I walked into Maccabi's general office today in Yerushalayim, no appointment. Perfect. Like I said, you shouldn't need an appointment for this. Okay, let's move along, and we're going to go to monthly child care benefits. Before I even talk about this, I want to make sure, does anyone here have children under 18? Raise your hand, put up a pen, whatever you need to do, put it in the chat box. I'm not seeing any hands go up, so I'm assuming we do not have anyone with children under 18. So I'm not going to talk about step 5. We're just going to skip it. All right, great. Step 6, school registration. Now, school registration can mean one of two things. Normally, when I'm talking about school registration, I'm talking about primary school education, 1 through 12. But again, since no one here has children under 18, we're not going to be talking about that. Instead, I'm going to quickly mention that if you are using the higher education benefit, make sure to discuss it when you go to Misrad HaKlita. On our webpage, we have a whole section, a whole article about applying for student authority benefits. You should be able to read that there. But again, when you go to Misrad HaKlita, if you want to try to get free schooling, make sure you speak to Misrad HaKlita. For those of you who are wondering, the cutoffs are 27 for a bachelor's, 30 for a master. That is the age you must start classes before in order to be eligible for the benefit. Okay. All right. Where can I get passport photos taken for the Tudat Zahut? You have to ask people locally. Depends where you got to ask people in your neighborhood where they can get passport photos.
Basically, any type of photo store. If you're walking into a mall and you see some type of place that has where they print mugs or shirts with pictures on it, that's where they'll also do passport photos.
Yes, but thank you, Ariel. And again, I always find it good to ask people in your neighborhood because they're going to know the cheapest and best place to do it. So, but yeah, any place that'll take photos, you should be able to get passport photos. All right, next, the school registration. Arnona. Arnona is municipal property tax. Okay, so someone just said something very important, and I want to make sure that I'm very clear about this. Someone just put in the chat box that they take your picture at Misrad HaPnim. That is correct, but they only take your picture for the biometric documents. They will not take your picture for the temporary Tudat Zahut. In order to get a temporary Tudat Zahut, you must bring pictures with you. Okay? I just want to make that distinction is very important. If you already have your temporary Tudat Zahut, there is no need for you to bring pictures with you to Misrad HaPnim. Okay. Arnona. Arnona is municipal property tax. This tax is paid by the person living in the property, not necessarily the owner of the property. This is a big difference than what you might be used to in the States. You're eligible for a discount of up to 90% on the first 100 square meters of the property. This discount is good for a 12-month period within the first 24 months. So you really need to apply for the benefit within the first 12 months in order to get the full benefit. You must have your name on a lease that covers the entire duration of the benefit, which means you cannot have a 6-month lease and still get the benefit. All right. This is one of the, actually the only benefit that Katinim Chozrim specifically do not get, unfortunately. Also, if you were here previously on any kind of resident visa, like an A1 or a student visa, it is also possible that the municipality can deny you this benefit. So just be aware of that going into it. This is something you would apply for through the municipality. This is where it's a good idea to get to know the municipal coordinator if there is one in your locality. Usually you can do this online. You can apply for this online. You will need a Tudat Oleh and a Tudat Zahut in order to do this. If you have roommates who are not Olim Chadashim, you will only be eligible for a portion of the discount based on how many other people are on the lease, okay? But the Oleh's name must be on the lease in order to get any discount whatsoever. I hope that that's clear. All right, let's move on. There are other things here to talk about Arnona, but they can vary greatly from your municipality. This is a benefit that the municipality has a lot of control on, a lot of control over. Usually that will work in your favor. Sometimes it can work against your favor. For example, some municipalities, if you go in before January, will require you to come back in January and reapply for the discount. Not every municipality will do this. It really depends. So this is going to be something that you're going to go and apply for through the municipality, and each municipality is going to have their own kind of regulations. The discount may also vary from municipality to municipality. Most of them are 90% discount. I have come across some that are 75% discount. You may also notice there are other discounts available, but there's no double dip. The OLED discount is almost certainly going to be the bigger discount. So while you're getting that, you cannot apply for any other discount. Okay, I hope that that's clear. All right, next, driver's license conversion. All right, there's a lot of stuff to talk about driver's license conversion. I've given a webinar in the past just on driver's license conversions that ran to an hour and a half. So I am not going to be talking in detail about driver's license conversion. However, there's a couple of things I do want you to know. You have 5 years from your date of Aliyah to do the conversion, okay? You only have 1 year from your date of entry, not your date of Aliyah, your date of entry to drive on your foreign license. That date of entry only resets if you've been out of the country for a full 12 months, which means that if you were here for a couple of months, 6 months ago, that was your date of entry, and you have 12 months from that date to convert your driver's license, not your date of Aliyah. So if you've been in the country for a while, make sure that you do the driver's license conversion as soon as possible. Are you going to get a ticket if you're driving after the 1 year? No. However, if you get pulled over or you get, God forbid, you get into an accident, the first thing your insurance company is going to ask you for is an entry and exit form showing when you were in and out of Israel. And they will deny you coverage for this reason. I've seen it happen. So if you've been in the country beforehand for a significant amount of time, more than a couple of weeks, please make sure to understand that you need the driver's license conversion becomes a really urgent matter if you are going to drive. If you're not going to drive, who cares? It's fine. In order to do the driver's license conversion, there are a couple of ways to do it. There's the expedited process and the standard process. The expedited process is great. You don't take a lesson, you don't take a test. You basically walk in and you walk out with a driver's license. It's a little more difficult than that, but that's essentially what happens. In order to do the expedited process, you must have had a license at least 5 years before Aliyah, not before you convert it. 5 years before your date of Aliyah, that is still valid when you do the conversion. And you have to be able to prove that you've had it for 5 years, which means either your old license is going back or a letter from the DMV showing an original issue date of your license. Insurance, proof of insurance is not sufficient. It has to be from the DMV. Some places this is easy, some places this is difficult. New York is very easy, New Jersey is very difficult. So just be aware the 51 different DMVs in the United States each have their own way of doing this. So sometimes it may be more difficult than others. Again, look at the instructions and then call us. I would say about 20% of the calls that I deal with on any given day are people who need help with driver's license conversion. So don't be ashamed to call us if you need help with the driver's license conversion. Okay, next. Oh, I should say that if you've had a license for under 5 years, you're also going to need to take a lesson and a driving test. If you've had a license for less than 2 years, you are also going to need to take a written exam. And be aware that learner's permits do not count as having a driver's license for any of the calculations. Converting it, 2 years, 5 years, doesn't matter. The learner's permit does not count. And yes, you keep your US license. You're just getting additionally an Israeli license. If you also want a motorcycle license, then you have to do 2 different conversion processes. You can't do it at once. All right, next, Israeli passport. 3 months from your date of Aliyah, or 90 days, whichever one is longer, you can apply for your Israeli passport. Again, you make an appointment at Misrad HaPnim for a biometric document, and you apply for the Israeli passport. Some of you may be thinking, well, can I apply for my Israeli passport at the same appointment when I apply for my Tudat Zehut? And the answer is, well, if it's more than 3 months since your Aliyah, absolutely yes. It's the same clerk, it's the same desk, just tell them you'd like to do it. If it is less than 3 months, the answer is maybe. You have to sign something called an hourly waiver, which waives your right to renounce your Aliyah and live here as a permanent resident. I'm not going to get into that. If anyone wants to talk to me about that, you can call us at *3680 and we can discuss it, but whatever. You have, in order to get your passport before 90 days, you have to sign this hourly waiver. Not every Misrad HaPnim branch wants to do it because some countries give their citizens a problem if they waive this hourly. U.S. should not, but that doesn't mean that. But Misrad HaPnim is a little bit gun shy about doing this. And Ezrach Oleh should already have their passport, so the 3 months don't apply if you're an Ezrach Oleh. This is for Olim Chadashim. So just be aware of that. Here on this page, it tells you what to bring with you. You're going to make an appointment on My Visit, and it should be very simple. Be aware that if you leave the country at any point, while you're receiving Sal Klita, the Sal Klita will stop automatically and should be reinstituted automatically 2 weeks after you're back in the country. Okay? If you're in the Army, you cannot leave the country without permission from the Army. Your first passport is going to be good for a year. And then after that first year, if you've been in the country for at least 75% of the time, then you can renew the passport for a 5 or 10-year passport. If you have not been in the country for at least a year, your next passport will also be a 1-year passport, which you'll have to renew until you can prove that you've been in the country for a significant amount of time in order to get your 5 or 10-year passport. Okay. All right. That is passport. Next. All right. So this is the page I mentioned before with all the phone numbers and addresses of the Misrad HaKlita branches. The other great thing is that this also gives you a list of communities that are served by the specific branch. So even if there's not a branch in your particular locality, you can find out, you can look over here and see if there's a branch that serves your specific community. Okay? And again, remember, like I said before, call, but also email. The next page is a list of all your Aliyah benefits. I'm not going to discuss your Aliyah benefits. I'm not going to read this to you. You can read this yourself. The important thing is that if you go to Misrad HaKlita and they tell you that you are not receiving a benefit that you think you are supposed to get, you're going to call us immediately so that we can try to figure out why you're not getting this benefit and if you should be getting this benefit. All right? Okay, next page is emergency contact information. This is something to rip off and put on your fridge. I would encourage all of you to look at it at some point because you don't want the first time you see this to be in the middle of an emergency. That's a bad time to go searching around for phone numbers. So definitely take a look at this beforehand. It has information for all the Kupot, for the emergency services, for Kuda Oref, for all sorts of things. All sorts of services that are available in case you need it. So be aware that this exists and what is on the 2 pages of the sheet. And then, like I said, make sure to put it on your fridge. Ariella, can you please put up a link to the guide in the chat box if you did not already?
Doing that right now.
Okay, and Jerry, that's how you're going to be able to get a copy of the guide. We also try to deliver deliver welcome bags. Obviously, with the Chagim, that became a little bit more difficult. So if you didn't get a welcome bag, I apologize, but you'll be able to find the post that I got, the link that I just put up. Thank you very much. Okay, next. And this is last but not least, contacting us in case you need us. So I've been mentioning the number and the email address several times throughout the presentation. But again, star 3680 or answers@nbn.org.il. We also have our government advocacy department, which we are part of, which also answers@nbn.org.il. For if, or more likely when you're having a problem with a government agency, you can just shoot us an email or give us a phone call. We have an employment department for obvious reasons. You can be in contact with them at employment@nbn.org.il. We have two different education emails, one for primary K-12 education and one for higher education. Education at NBN is for K-12 and NBN students is for higher education. We have a community guidance email in case you're considering, moving, that you don't like the community you're in. And we also have our Lone Soldiers program, which has its own phone number, star 6563. And that phone number is answered 24/7. So if you're a soldier, you don't have to wait till office hours to call a Army advisor, right? We have 3 different campuses in case you want to come visit us. We have our Jerusalem campus, which is in Cinema City. We have our Tel Aviv hub, which is on 76 Rothschild Avenue in Tel Aviv. And we have our Lone Soldiers headquarters, which is in Beit HaChayal, 60 Weitzman in Tel Aviv as well. If you want to come in and see us, please feel free to make an appointment, or you can drop by, and if anyone's available, happy to talk to you. Okay, that's really the end of my spiel. I just wanted to also point out that we have an Israel calendar on our website. There's an events page where you can see English-speaking events, or just events for English-speaking Olim, not just from Nefesh B'Nefesh, but from a lot of other organizations as well. This means that if you call us about some events that are on our calendar, we may or may not have information depending on whether or not it is our event. We also have a video library of all of our recorded webinars. Speaking of recorded webinars, you're all going to be sent a copy, a recording of this webinar. So if you missed anything, or you just like, being put to sleep by the dulcet tones of my voice, then that is okay too. And that is it. So with that, I'm going to ask for questions. Anyone have any questions that they would like to ask me? And now is the appropriate time for that. So you can either put them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask me your question.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. It was very, very good session. Thank you. It was very informative and didn't put me to sleep at all.
Okay,
Those appointments that we need to make, it sounds like except for they have to go in order. First is the appointment at the Misrad HaPnim, then the bank account, then the Misrad HaKlita, then the Kupat Cholim. Is it in that order?
It depends. If you've already gotten your temporary Tudat Zehut, then that first step can be put off. If you have not gotten your temporary Tudat Zehut, then yes, you must go do it in that order.
Okay, I only have the Tudat Olah.
Right, okay, great. So then yes, certainly you should do it in that order, except for the Kupat Cholim, which you can try to get your card based on the Tudat Olah. Okay?
And you said we do not need an appointment to go to the Kupat Cholim.
Correct, you do not need an appointment.
Okay, I had one other question, but it might be better for later.
I will tell you if it is.
Okay, I have had a bank account, a foreign residence account in my name and my husband's name for years now.
Okay.
He has since passed away. And I have a lawyer handling it in probate because the apartment is also in both names. Am I going to have trouble at the bank trying to get that account changed to my own name?
You have a death certificate?
I do. I had it with my Aliyah documents, apostille, everything.
So what I would say is this, and I again, you know what, I normally would say that this is probably something better discussed privately. But what I would do is when you go to get your Tudat Zehut, make sure you have the death certificate with you and the apostille. Make sure that you are put down as a single, and it'll say that you are a widow. And then when you go to the bank, they shouldn't give you a problem because you'll have documentation from Misrad HaPnim that you're single
Okay.
and widowed. So it shouldn't be a problem, but that's why in your specific situation, I would go for the 2.0 first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
No problem. All right. I see some other questions over here. Okay. That's great. All right. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions?
I missed the point before. Could you convert a bank account from a foreign bank account to an Israeli bank account?
Yes, you should be able to. Go into your bank, tell them you made Aliyah. They should be able to switch it over and attach the 2.0 to it, and switch it over to a regular Israeli bank account. The only difference would be is whether you opened a foreign currency account or a shekel account, but you can talk to the bank about that. Okay.
All right. And the number on your the card that they gave, not the card, but the Ola, Tudat, is that the number that you keep?
The Mispar Zahut, on your 2.0, there are two different numbers. There's a Mispar Zahut and there's a Mispar 2.0. The Mispar Zahut is your ID number. That is the one that should be on your new card. It should not change. As a matter of fact, that's how you're going to know when you get your 2.0, whether they put the right number on, is whether or not it's the same number on your 2.0.
So the bank uses the Mispar Zahut, right?
Right. Right. Now, again, remember, as I said before, officially you are allowed to open a bank account with just the 2.0. However, in real life, most banks require an issue date of the 2.0 in order to open the account. So you may not be able to do it with a 2.0. I wish I could tell you where to go to do with just 2.0. Unfortunately, it's not quite that easy. But yeah, so make sure that you can try it with just the 2.0, but in most cases, I found that they are going to require the 2.0 as well. Okay.
One last question.
Yeah.
Could you try? I have to go back home after Sukkot, and I'm coming back. Is that going to be a problem without an Israeli
No,
passport?
it absolutely will not be a problem. Every Israeli is allowed to travel on their foreign passport until January 1st, 2023. Okay? So if you leave before January 1st, 2023, on your US passport, you will not have a problem.
What happens after?
If after that, you will need an Israeli passport.
But it takes a long time to get one.
2 to 3. Well, I mean, you can make the appointment now. And
They give it to you right away?
It takes usually about 2 to 3 weeks. But if you know you're traveling, if you've applied and you know you're traveling, you can ask them for what's called an Ishur Yetziah B'Darkon Zar, which is permission to fly on a foreign passport. So if you have to fly on January 3rd, all right, and you're applying for the passport on December 30th, all right, yeah, you're not going to get your passport in time to fly on January 3rd, but you can ask them for the special permission, and that should be fine.
Thank you. You've been very helpful. I really appreciate the information.
My pleasure. All right, anyone else?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
What happens when you want to come, say you leave the country the middle of December, it's before January 1st, 2023. You can use your US passport, but then you're coming back in, say, in March 1st. What do you use then?
It shouldn't be a problem. You're going to come in, you have your Aliyah visa in your US passport, and they should not give you a problem. The worst they should do is they may take you aside, talk to the manager and say, make sure you get your passport before you leave.
But you can walk in with you would then enter the Israel with your US passport and your.
Aliyah visa.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Mizrach Oleh, but I didn't receive a passport yet. So is that one of the first things I have to do?
When you go to Mishrad Apnim to get your
Yeah.
Tzudat Zahut, make sure you also tell them you never got a passport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you?
I also didn't get a temporary. I didn't get a temporary Tzudat Zahut either.
Okay.
Both.
That happens with most people at the airport unless they came on one of our group or charter flights. So
Okay.
most people, that's going to be the case.
Okay. Okay.
Can I ask everyone who's not currently asking a question to please mute themselves? Because I'm getting some feedback from other people. So, all right. Yeah, so guys, that shouldn't be a problem. Did you come as an unregistered Ezra Chola?
I received a Mispar Zahut.
You did.
Yes.
And-
Oh, yeah.
But,
I've got it.
but the Jewish agency and the consulate, did they tell you that you were coming as an unregistered Ezrach Oleh? And
No,
that you need,
no, I believe I'm registered. I don't think they're issuing passports to anybody now. There's some kind of strike going on, so
yeah,
they're approving them.
in the United States, there's a foreign ministry strike, and there's people who either got a weird kind of Aliyah visa, like a handwritten Aliyah visa, instead of the regular stamp. There are some people who didn't get an Aliyah visa at all. If anyone
No,
here,
I didn't get one at all. Yeah,
but
they
you-
said we
you-
don't need an
you
Aliyah
wouldn't
visa.
have gotten, you would not have gotten an Aliyah visa, Jerry, because
Right.
technically you didn't make Aliyah. You were Israeli
Right.
before you're Israeli now.
Oh, okay.
The only people who care about your status are for benefits, and that's Misvadik Lita. That's why you don't get a Tudat Oleh, you get a Tudat Zakot. Okay.
I received that. I did receive
You
two
received
dozen
that.
codes. I received that, yes.
All right. So yeah. So when you go to Misvad Pnim, also ask them for the passport. You should not need to wait the 90 days for the passport.
Okay.
And again, because you need the Tudat Zahut, I would encourage you to make that appointment as quickly as
Right.
possible.
Right.
Go on my visit now after we get off and try to make an appointment. Okay.
Great presentation. I really enjoyed. I didn't sleep that well last night. I was really tired. I thought I was going to fall asleep, but I was wide awake during the whole thing. It was great.
All right.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
All right. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going
My
to sign
pleasure.
off. I really appreciate your help. Thank you.
My
Bye-bye.
pleasure. That's what we're here for. All right, everybody. I'm going to end with the way I normally end with all of these things. That number *3680. This is what we do. We're here to man that phone. So you don't have to feel bad about calling us. I'd much rather you call with a question before it becomes a problem than call me with a problem because you didn't ask a question. All right. So if you're not sure whether to call us or not, that means you're sure to call us. Okay. All right, everyone, have a Chag Sameach. Everyone, enjoy your Chag. You don't have to think about any Aliyah process things during the Chag because you can't do anything about it anyway. So enjoy your Chag, put your mind at ease, and hopefully we'll speak to you afterwards. Have a great day. Bye-bye.